Brooke Dixon, who is the Managing Director of Dallas Delta. We've got Indigo Holcomb James, who's a postdoctoral research fellow at ARC Centre of Excellence for Automated Decision Making and Society at RMIT University. That's quite the mouthful, so I'm really excited to hear more from you, Indigo. We've got Seb Cunningham, Health and Wellbeing Project Lead at the City of Casey, and Mandy O'Toole, our Smart City Project Officer at the City of Casey. So the first thing I'm going to do is hand over to Seb, who's going to spend about 5 minutes just letting us know what digital equity is. Seb, take it away.
Thanks a lot, Laura. Fantastic to be here. Loving all the passion that you can see in the chat regarding digital equity and inclusion. Yeah, we see this as such a massive issue for council and for community, and that gap between the connected and not connected is only going to widen unless we address it. So I suppose really brief overview here, but how we define digital equity. Digital equity means to embed fairness in the development and implementation of digital systems. It is to recognise that individuals, groups and communities are situated differently in relation to access, affordability and the skills needed for these digital platforms and systems. So I guess a bit of background to that, as we all know, the push to transition services and information to online platforms and digital delivery was already underway well before the pandemic, but it really did accelerate during the COVID-19 pandemic. The problem, obviously, is that without appropriate measures to assist communities in the transition to near ubiquitous online delivery, those already digitally excluded, many of whom, as Laura said before, from low socioeconomic backgrounds, will be further impoverished through reduced access to services and information. So again, if we ignore this, certain groups and places across Casey will continue to be excluded from the increasing social and economic benefits and opportunities that digital platforms provide. And again, in other words, the gap between the socially included and excluded will widen. Research presented recently in Digital Nation Australia 2021 shows that 87% of jobs in Australia now require digital skills. 61% don't feel confident that they can identify misinformation online, and less than 40% of Australians feel confident they can keep up with the rapid pace of change in technology. So it gives you a bit of a sense of how widespread the issue really is, and the range of experiences and skills that we have across the nation. The stark reality during COVID-19 pandemic led the City of Casey to develop a digital equity framework to better understand the issues and how to respond. Next slide, thanks. Okay, so the digital equity framework was developed earlier this year with the purpose of guiding a coordinated, all-of-organisation equity approach to addressing digital exclusion. It aims to provide a shared and comprehensive understanding of digital equity conditions across Casey and those groups and places most excluded. Also to provide a consistent and pragmatic basis for guiding council digital inclusion activities, an ongoing platform for promoting partnerships to increase digital equity in Casey, because we know we can't do this alone, a set of priorities, initial priorities for action, and an initial group of internal and external partners to assist in the delivery of the framework. So the framework really sets a vision for the City of Casey where all individuals and communities have access to the digital tools, skills and confidence they need to participate in our increasingly online society, democracy and economy. Through background research and data analysis, as well as extensive community consultation, we were able to create a picture of what digital exclusion looks like for different groups across the City of Casey. The framework and its initial priority initiatives provide merely a starting point, where we will continue to seek understanding and insight regarding local digital exclusion and innovate solutions based on those local conditions. These endeavours will be the focus of later presentations in the session today, but first I'll hand over to Brooke, who will give us an overview of digital empowerment.
Thanks, Seb.
Thanks, Seb. Appreciate that. So I'll just take myself off mute there, colleagues. So Brooke Dixon, Managing Director of Dallas Delta. We've been working with the City of Casey for quite a period of time. We're very thrilled and pleased to work with the city to help develop the Smart City Launchpad. And we worked with Laura and Seb and the team in the production of a digital empowerment research paper, which is available online. There is a summary version online, which gives you a broader concept of what empowerment means. And empowerment, I suppose, is a broader concept for this field. You can see the definition online there. It takes us beyond fairness and equity and inclusion to the idea of the all-powerful agency, the ability and the command of the internet, smart devices, and other technology which enables everyone in the world to thrive in the midst of a digital revolution, which is really important because we are seeing so much change in the world. We have had a series of disruptions in industry, in society, politically, that have been driven in many respects by the digital sector. And there is a great dislocation in many, many cohorts around the world, and a sense of disempowerment and a sense of disconnection. And we need to make sure that our policies, our programs, our partnerships, and our thought processes understand and appreciate this mega trend, but also put in place the steps to contend with it, to wrestle with it, and to ensure that our communities, our leaders, our young people, our older people, and everyone in between are digitally empowered. So if we just go to the next slide there, Laura. So the thought piece online, which I'm sure the Casey team will circulate if they haven't already, if not in the meeting chat, then via email, draws together a very simple framework. And obviously this is a complex area, extremely complex. Digital empowerment is not something that can be easily grappled with. Nonetheless, we need to, and you can see here that sense of City of Casey is looking to play a role in driving digital empowerment in the City of Casey. We also want to work with Casey community and businesses. They also have a role, but also partners externally, be it other local governments, the Victorian government, the Australian government, or indeed international partners. You can see some of the challenges and risks and opportunities of digital empowerment down the bottom, and you can see that lens of policy, that's programs and partnerships that Casey has in place, both existing and future, aiming to get a better understanding of digital empowerment, but also put in place measures that drive that sense of access, affordability, and digital ability. And they are all too important. And just a quick example to make this real for you. Certainly in the smart city, digital equity, digital empowerment space, I've seen over the last 10 years many instances of misinformation taking hold in the community through social media, but also through other channels as well, which can have a really nefarious and disabling impact on the community and on public policies. And I have seen a little bit of uncertainty in local governments as to how to contend with that misinformation. Do we have a role? What are the policy levers? What should we say? What should we do? So that's a very, very real example of a specific issue of potential digital disempowerment that we need to consider as we understand and better appreciate this issue of digital empowerment. I think that's enough from me, Laura. Look forward to this discussion, and I'm going back to Laura as the chair for the next phases of this fantastic session.
Thanks, Brooke. And yeah, that was a really rapid fire from Seb and yourself around what these big complex topics are all about. So we'll make sure that we do follow up with further papers and stuff. But I think what's really important to note in these two as well is that it's not just about a point in time. Digital equity isn't. It's a live and real and present challenge that we always need to be overcoming. So our digital equity framework and our digital empowerment paper is meant to set the direction, but we have to have the mechanism so that we can adapt to this sort of ever-changing environment.